Hello, I am out driving around on this wonderful day to warm up the transmission because today we are going to swap out the transmission fluid in the Nissan Xterra. Now, the maintenance interval for the transmission fluid is 120,000 miles. So, being that the Nissan is at 132, now is a perfect time to do it because I can guarantee that it wasn't done prior to me purchasing it. So, we're gonna go ahead, warm this up. The process is pretty simple. Now it's basically like changing the oil in your car or in the motor. So it's gonna be drain it and fill it right back up. If you have an automatic transmission, the process is actually quite a bit different. So the draining is obviously gonna be the same. You pull the plug and let the fuel come, or the liquid come out. But the checking and the filling of the fluid is quite different. So if you do have an automatic, unfortunately, this is not going to be a direct step-by-step on how to change out the fluid, but if you have a manual transmission, then you're in luck. So we're going to get this up to operating temperature, get back to the garage, and swap it out. Now that the transmission is nice and toasty, let's talk real quick about the fluid that we decided to go with. There's a lot of fluids out there. You have Castrol, Mobil 1, a lot of different ones. I decided to go with the full synthetic. We went with AMSOIL. We used to have a vehicle that we would race in the SCCA, and we had a few quarts lying around of this with really nothing to do with it. So I decided to just pick up a few more. So as you can tell, these are the old ones here. They're a little discolored from age, but really not the end of the world. So we picked up these three just to have all five that we need. You need 4 1/4 quarts for the transmission. Kind of annoying because you need to buy 5 quarts, but at the end of the day, you know, what's an extra 15 bucks? So each one of these, now the process for this is not a simple pour in, unfortunately. The fill on the side of the transmission is just a little screw right out of the side, and you need to put it in to the transmission sideways, and then it's full once it basically starts draining out of the side of the transmission. So the drain plug's on the bottom and the fill's on the side. Obviously the drain we're gonna let gravity do, but we can't really use gravity to fill it back up. So we might have a little trick for that. I'll show you that when we get to it. But for now, let's get the transmission fluid out of this truck.
Now we're actually ready to drain the transmission fluid. Obviously we're underneath the car. Here is the transmission in all of its glory. And here is the drain plug. Now, I've been told, and I want to double check here, that this is a 10 millimeter hex head, so like a big Allen wrench. I went ahead and opted for a socket style. I had to actually run out and buy this. If you don't have one around, or if you have a big Allen wrench, you may be able to get enough torque on it to get this plug out, but a ratchet style is always going to be your best bet for being able to get a lot of torque on it. So just like when emptying the engine oil, just have a drain pan ready. I'm assuming it's going to get, messy. It's your draining fluid, so get that ready and then take the plug out. Let it drain. There we go. Now just let that drain, and once it's finished draining, we will fill it back up.
Okay, while that's draining, I want to talk a little bit about the drain plug. It's pretty unremarkable. It's just a regular drain plug, except for 2 things. One is the washer. Now, the washer, which the factory service manual will call the gasket, which I guess it is, they say to replace this. So, as far as actually doing the job right and me showing you the videos on how to do it correctly, I should recommend that you guys replace this washer. I'm not going to, only because mine's perfectly fine and it's not warped, bent, cracked, split. There's really nothing wrong with it, so I'm going to reuse it. Secondly, the inside of the plug itself is actually a magnet. This catches any metal shards or any fragments of any gears that may have been ground off and collects in here. So before you reinstall this plug into the drained transmission, you really want to make sure that you just get some sort of rag or like a paper towel and wipe out the inside of this. So I wiped it off until it was nice and shiny. When I first pulled it off, it was kind of black and gross, so there was a lot of stuff in that. If there's too much stuff in it, like if you're seeing like visible shards of metal, you may have an issue going on with grinding gears or some other issue. But really, at the end of the day, it should just be a little bit of gray, brown, kind of sludgy looking stuff. Clean that out and you'll be ready to reinstall it.
All right, now that the transmission is drained, you just want to do one more quick check of this this seat here where the washer will sit. If that's good, go ahead and put your plug back in. Get that going there. And once it's in, I want to make sure this is seated correctly. Hold on. Don't want to cross thread it. Once it's in, give it one good quick wipe here. Slide your pan out of the way. And this particular drain plug does have a specific torque requirement. It says it's 25 pounds of torque. So I do have a torque wrench. You know, if you don't have a torque wrench, it's really not the end of the world. Just don't go crazy on it. You don't want to over tighten it. 25 pounds of pressure is actually really, really low when using a ratchet. So it's really not much. So I'm going to get this in here. Once it's in, just wipe it down so you don't have any visible leaks. So that way when we do refill it, and we can see if anything's leaking out of it. So, all right, now that the fluid's out, we're gonna go and put the fluid in up on the side. So for this next part, you should really get yourself prepared. There's gonna be kind of a lot going on underneath the truck, and it'll be difficult to accomplish, you know, if you don't have everything that you need. So first off, you're obviously gonna need your 10 millimeter hex to get the filler plug out of the side of the transmission. You should always have a rag around, especially when working with fluids. It's bound to get messy, so you want to work on that. Obviously, you need your fuel. And then lastly, I'm actually going to list this as a required part. This is a pump that you can slide into your transmission fluid, and you can just manually pump it out and up into the transmission. Now, you'll see when we get underneath the truck that the filler plug is on the side of the transmission. So you have the front, the back, and then it kind of rolls up the side, and it's on the side. There's no filler hose, or excuse me, filler tube, or checker for how much fluid is in it when you have a manual transmission. It's all done by feel and done through the transmission itself. Now, I'm going to go under here. I'm going to take off this this filler plug, and I'm going to show you how to slide the tube in and start pumping the fluid. So let's get to it. Now the filler plug on the transmission is on the right side of it, right here. So that's where you're going to have to go get your wrench up in there and take this out. And obviously no fluid should come out because you just drained it out of here. But if there is a little bit of drip, it's fine because you're going to end up dripping it out of here anyways, and that's how you're going to know it's full. So take your ratchet, remove this, and then we can start getting our tube in. All right, easy enough. So once it was broken, once you just kind of broke its hold, it just comes out with your fingers. There we go. And notice that this side also, this fill plug has a magnet as well. So if that is dirty, you're going to want to clean that off. This one looks surprisingly good. So, all right. So now we have a hole. Now we need to put something in it. So I have this hose here, and what I'm going to try to do is get it up in there and still have some kind of space to move around. Here we go, yeah. So we have that out. Great. And now I'm gonna drop this pump into the transmission fluid and start pumping. So grab that, slide it underneath. That's gonna have to go around here. All right, and in. Perfect. Now, effectively just start pumping. There we go. Now, what you need to do, this is gonna get pretty long and pretty tedious, so you need to keep pumping this until you actually see fluid coming out of the fill hole. So once the fluid comes out, that's when you know it's full. We're gonna take out the hose, and then we're gonna stick our finger in there and see if we can feel fluid. If we feel fluid, that's how you know that the transmission is full. So I have 4 1/4 of these things to go. So I'm gonna get through these, and I'll meet you back up once I've pumped all these in. All right, so we are getting pretty close here. So we're on our 4th quart, and I'm getting it pumping here. And so an easy way to know if you're getting close is when you pull the tube out, the tube is pretty saturated in transmission fluid, which means as soon as it hits the transmission, it's sitting in fluid. So I'm gonna keep going until you see visible spills over the edge of the filler hole. So I'm gonna keep going here, and then we'll see when it comes out. Okay, so we're getting really close here. See how it's dripping out? And when I pump, all right, yep, looks like we're pretty good here. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this out. We're gonna stick a finger in there, see if we can feel fluid. So let me somehow bend like that. Apparently, you need to have smaller hands for this. Let me wipe this off. Well, you see, if I'm wiping, I wipe this off here, the filler hole, and then as soon as I let go, it starts to spill more. So, yes, we are definitely full. The fluid is up to this point in the case. So I'm gonna let this drip a little bit more and then get my filler cap back in. All right. Great, now that that's in, grab your wrench, or your ratchet, and then make sure it's tight. There we go. Wipe everything down so that way if you do find out that you have any leaks, it's easier to find out. You can just kind of take a quick look and see if you find any moisture. But other than that, we're done.
So a few quick things before we sign off here. We're done underneath the truck. It's pretty straightforward. Again, just like an oil change, remove the fluid and put it back in. A few things that will make your life a lot easier is definitely get some solvent-safe latex gloves. It'll definitely save you some headache. That stuff really does get everywhere when you're underneath trying to open up bottles, put the pump in, take the pump out. So just get some gloves, and then also that pump. You really need to get a pump. There's really no way to get gravity to do the job for you. So the pumping is a bit tedious, but it's really the most effective way to get everything into the transmission. Now, if you do have something different, you figure something out, definitely share it in the comments so that way other people can try it out. Secondly, or lastly, I should say, don't raise the truck. Now, whether you're draining it or putting the fluid back in, the truck needs to be level. So if you do raise the truck in the front, for instance, the filler plug is near the rear of the transmission. So if you have it up, you could be putting not enough fluid in and think that it's full. Or the opposite direction, if you lift it from the rear, you put too much fluid in when you think there's, it's just right. So leave the truck on the floor. Don't jack it up. I mean, if you need to jack it up to get some leverage to get the plugs out, that's fine. But make sure it's flat when you're draining it and filling it. I think that's it. So as always, put any comments, suggestions, or questions into the comments below. And thanks for watching. Bye.